All right. Well, thanks for coming here and watching. I'm going to do a master class here. And one of the things that I want to do is get you to understand why most people get stuck and they don't know what to do next. And they just end up, when they're trying to switch to a tech career, they just end up just stopping. It just fizzles out and it becomes sort of uh, a, a downtime in their life. They look back on and say, I really had no direction and I wasted a ton of time. And sometimes I see people go for years and years. I will have people come to me and they'll say, um, it's been 2 or 3 years since I've started this, and I feel like I don't have any progress. So usually there's a reason for this, and I'll try to help you understand, why you might be stuck and how you can get out of it. So right now, what I'm going by is just the fact that people have this concept, and the concept is really that there's a dream job out there. Now, when they see this, what they'll do is they'll go and look for jobs, um, look for openings, and so this is, they'll go and they'll look on LinkedIn, and they'll look on Indeed, and that's the extent of it for beginners, basically. Um, you might even go to Well Found, something like that. And so a lot of people will just see the dream job and they will go looking for a job on these sites. And they'll go here and here and here, and basically none of them are going to work. The reason for that is they know that they don't have something, and that is skills. So pretty basic. Right now, it's pretty basic. They know you might be going looking for a dream job on these sites, and you'll see I don't really have, the skills, and there's no way I'm going to get this job because I don't have the skills. And that's obvious. And nobody thinks that they're going to start right off and get the job. So the next step is then they'll go over here. And because they don't have the skills, they'll look on um, skill getting opportunities. Maybe they'll Google something like this: how to get a job in tech, and they'll look at the skill, maybe. You know what? A lot of times they don't. They'll just look at how to get a job in tech in 90 days without going to college. And what they'll see next is a listing of boot camps. They'll see courses with certifications. They'll say internships um, from large, maybe FANG companies like Google, and they'll see YouTube channels, and this is what happens next. So they go from here down to there. They don't have the skills, and then they'll go up here, skill getting opportunities, and then they'll just look at all these, and then they will start to think. I have a trackball mouse. They'll start to think. It's hard to draw like this. Um, okay. All right. So that's this process here will go on forever, and it becomes a hard stop. So after you're done thinking about all of these things, it becomes a hard stop. And what's going to happen is stuck in indecision. And this is where usually people will come and say, I don't know what to do next. Sometimes the people will, and maybe this is you, try a course. All right. And when they try a course, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where there is what I call, let's put it up here in big text, the blocker. The blocker is a point of difficulty. And the blocker is a place where you can't get past it, you can't get below, and you keep trying to go. So you keep trying to get down and get past and keep diving down into the skill, but it keeps hitting the blocker. And this is usually probably someone's, let's say you're a programmer. It looks like a programming concept. It could be if you're not in programming and you're taking a different sort of course or just looking around at all the courses. It could be a overwhelming odds to get a job. Because if you could become a programmer, you just think this. You think, if I could understand the concepts, I could get the job. And the problem with this is, and that's the blocker. So you can't understand the concept and you don't know how to go further because you're simply overwhelmed, or you can't understand the concept. And I'll tell you, when you're learning programming for the first time, this is why I tell people to really, figure out an easy language first instead of a hard language. When you're doing all this for the very first time, you need to have something that you can get past, but you will bump into this wall, this blocker, and it's tough. Now, if your brain is wired in a certain way, it may be a small blocker. You're probably going to be taking tougher courses up here, right in here. But if you're someone like me, you hit this blocker and it even happens to me these days. When you hit the blocker, you just don't know what to do. And so this could be something different for everyone, but usually it's concepts or it's overwhelm. It could be even the odds. You see the market. Let's put that in here. You see the job market. The job market woes, and you think, oh, this is a big problem. Like, there's no way I can get into a job with this market. So, what I'd like to say is that I'm here to help you with this blocker, not just, you know, I help people all the time get past it, but let me help you a little bit. Let me give you something that can get you past this blocker, because this is the worst feeling when you feel like you've done so much you know, just doing this up here is looking at your dream job and looking it up and then looking at the skills you need and then exploring how to get the skills. That's what everybody does, but not everyone even gets to that level. So everyone who gets into a tech career probably does all those things pretty quickly, but not everyone gets there. So good job doing that if that's you. And if that's not you, you still need to do all this, but let me kind of short circuit the process a little bit because this is a long time. You can be stuck here for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, four, or forever and never get past it. All right. So, how do you get past this blocker? Well, the concept that I have um, understood is that, and I call it, let me put this triangle up here instead. So I call it the P3 Diagnostic. All right. And so I'm trying to make an equilateral triangle because that's the what it needs to be for demonstration purposes. You might understand after I get through it. But basically you have on one side your persistence in doing all the things you need to do. On the other side, on another side, you have your performance. In other words, you're not just doing all the things all the time, you're doing the right things, learning the right skills. And then over here, you have your presentation. And you can be really good at doing a lot of things all the time. And you can be really good at learning all the right skills. But if you're not good at your presentation of how you do things, your resume stinks, your LinkedIn is bad, and you need a lot of work, well, nobody's going to know about you. You might get some sort of job, but it's not going to be the job you want. Because right in the middle, if you have all of these things lined up just nice, rightly, in the middle is your reward. And a lot of people think that they can just have all the skills. They can perform well and then they'll get a job. And that's not true. You need all three. And so if you're not 100% of all three of these, you're doing all the things all the right times, you're doing all the right things, and you're presenting yourself to others in the right way, then you're going to have a smaller triangle down here. It's going to look more like this. And your reward, the square, the area in the middle of the triangle will be smaller. And that's what I call it. You have a low persistence ability and great presentation, great performance. You don't know how to do things for a long time and persist. Well, you're just going to maybe stumble on a job. But the truth is, you're probably not going to get a good job. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to have a small triangle again because you did one of the length of one of the sides reduces all the other sides. All right. So the other thing is if you present yourself really well and you're doing that a lot, you're applying to a lot of jobs, but obviously you don't have the skills, the performance is low. You're also going to maybe not get a job at all, but your triangle is going to be very small because your performance is very small and it reduces the area inside. So there's just a quick, um, if you can keep this in mind as I discuss the next part, and I think it'll help you. So, what type of people do you think, as you look back at this situation, Okay. Oh, let's see. So I described the person that looks for the job, then realizes they don't have skills. So then they try to go get the skills and they work really hard for 3 months to 6 months at it. Which one of these, which one or two of these are they really good at? They're really good at persistence for 6 months and performance. But of course, they know they have not presented themselves to the world because they don't feel ready yet, and they're probably not ready. So they never present, and of course, they don't get a job. Now, it seems obvious when you look at these three factors what should happen. They need to keep persisting a little longer and keep going and going and going because only then will they have enough performance ability, skills, and experience, even experience on pro bono projects, so that they can present themselves correctly. All right. So, are you picking up what I'm hinting at is the problem here? When you get to this blocker and you're not sure if you're doing the right courses, you're not sure if you're doing it enough, you're not sure if you should be taking a break or going into a boot camp. You're not sure if an internship would help you, but you don't know if you can get the internship. So you go to more free sources like YouTube. You know, the thing is, anybody can do this on their own and get into a tech career without a boot camp, without a course. You can go buy a book. That is what I did. I've done it many times to level up my career. Buying books on interviewing, buying books on skills, buying books on how the business works for technology. But the truth is, um, anybody can do it without doing these things. Now, why does someone go to a boot camp? They think it'll solve the problem of this blocker. Now, the truth is, it will solve the problem as long as you're in the boot camp. But really, what boot camps often do is they forget about teaching you this. So they up level your skills, check. And then you feel like you have more skills to put on your resume, check. And then you get your LinkedIn all shiny. Okay. But then nothing happens for 3 months after your boot camp. Nothing happens for 6 months, a year. And you've given up along the way a long time ago. And that's what happens. So this blocker here, to get past it, I'm going to tell you, you do need some help probably, but you need help in learning how to persist. And that is because you are doing something that's very difficult. It's very difficult to switch into a tech career. To get past your blocker, the newbie blocker, that is, you need to learn the skill of persistence on your own because you cannot afford to keep taking boot camps. And you cannot afford all the things above. You can't afford in those areas here. You can't afford to give up either. And that's where people come to me. They come to me not because I can't help everybody, but they come to me because uh I'm kind of in the middle here. I'm someone who helps them persist and helps them learn how to persist. And I'll tell you what I do usually in a second here, but they run out of time, money, and then they run out of hope. And then you might even be in this situation where you're staring at your future, you're staring at your past. You realize you've got to make a huge change in your life. So one of the biggest things that I would suggest for a takeaway here is to set up a sheet where you keep track of what you do each day. How many courses, portions, job apps, applications, time, track your time spent, attitude toward employers that you have. By the way, keep your current job. I have so many videos on that, or it's been seen so many times. So this is usually where I step in and help. And of course, I give technical advice when I can, and of course, I give the big thing. The big thing that I help people with is really level setting them on the amount of time it's going to take, and that saves time. When you adjust your expectations, things start to change. You start treating your family. You treat your family right. You treat your finances right. In other words, you keep your job. You treat your body right, your fitness level. And this sounds a little like life coachy, but the truth is, if um, you have faith in God, and when maybe you have another faith, but I have faith in Jesus Christ. And when I put my faith in Jesus Christ, He is my life, He is my eternity. I know I have this comfort because I know deep down in me that no matter what happens with my tech career, He loves me. I was created to do good things and provide value for people and to provide God His glory that He deserves. And forever I'll live with Him because of what Jesus did. And that's where I'm at. And so you can imagine a lot of what happens in my body, in my money, and in my family comes because of my faith in God. And the truth is that unless you figure out all of these things, if you can't figure this out right here, then you can't persist very long. Now, you might persist, but you might become an ugly persister. So you might be, let's say that you treat your body wrong. Okay. Eventually, you're going to stop persisting because you don't have the energy. Let's say you treat your finances wrong. Well, eventually, not only will you stop persisting, but you won't have the money to go and try to level up your skills because you can't buy a $20 book, or you can't present yourself well if you don't treat your finances right because they're connected. You're going to have some help figuring out your resume and LinkedIn. And all of these things are connected. Your family. I have a wife and kids. I have 6 kids. Most of them are moved out by now, and I have grandkids. And what happens is, if you don't treat your family right, they won't support you in your persistence of this. Right now, there are things that I'm trying to do in my life. And if I don't have my wife on track with me, basically what happens is I not only get kind of down about it because it doesn't seem right to do the things she doesn't want me to do, but it it reduces my ability to keep going. But if she's right with me, this is a positive energy then. And I can perform better. And I show up better. And of course, I persist. So I know I've gotten jobs because my wife is supporting me. And I know that I've missed out on jobs because I've just really I just didn't keep going sometimes when I needed a new position and I just kind of gave up. I just felt down about it. So I'm quite emotions based, and maybe you are too, and maybe not. If you're not emotions based or tempted to be base your actions on feelings, then good for you. Good for you. That's really good. So I would also say this: um, feelings cannot drive you. If your feelings drive you, then you will end up in disaster. But facts, KPI can drive you. So that's why I keep pointing back to this KPI. So, do you track what you're doing? Are you stuck in an area like this? Indecision, not sure what's going to happen. Did I do the right thing? Did I choose the right course? Did I waste a lot of money in the boot camp? By the way, most boot camps are a waste of money. Not all of them. Okay? I'm talking about experience that the people I've spoken to and counseled, advised, most of them who've gone to a boot camp threw away their money. And it wasn't because of them, it was because they understood the boot camp to be something it wasn't. And sometimes they threw away their money because the boot camp itself was great, but they did not know how the purpose of it and where it was going to take them. And so they ended up here and they get stuck. And then they've quit. All right. So that is how it goes. Um, and in this last minute, I just want you to think for a second. Think, where am I in this process here? Maybe you're past it, past a blocker, but usually we all get to blockers. Where are you in that? And then where are you? What is blocking you? Is it that you're not putting in the effort all the time? You do a good short stint of work on some course or look through a book for a day and then you give up? Is that you really aren't pushing through and learning the skills? Or are you done with all that and you're ready to present yourself, but you don't? Where are you? So these three go. And that's how you'll go. And are you getting all of these things right? So that's that. Thank you for watching this training. If you have any questions, you can reach out at info@techlead.com. And we also have an academy on School. You can email me that for that link if you want it. And it'll give you some help. Thank you.